What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Essential Scares podcast, the only show that dares to ask the question, is it essential? I am your host, Corbin, and with me today is Alan.
Good evening.
And Bobby.
99. Woo!
That is right, everybody.
What a
this is our
capstone film.
99th episode. Yeah, our very last movie that we are going to be reviewing before our 100th episode spectacular. Almost 99 movies. I think it's like 92 movies and then some TV shows and some games. But super excited for this one. And to celebrate this momentous occasion, we are reviewing none other than Basket Case 3, The Progeny. That's right. We had to end the first 100 on a classic. It had to be something that we knew was worth it. And here we are, lining it up perfect. Basket Case 3. Before we get into it, Bobby has a spoiler warning.
I do. This will serve as your first one and only spoiler warning for the cult classic Basket Case 3, The Progeny. If you do not want Basket Case 3, The Progeny spoiled for you, please tip to this time code provided in our show notes or description for our essential spoiler-free discussion. Basket Case 1 asked a lot of questions. Namely, does the basket case fuck? Basket Case 2 answered one of those questions, but brought a second question to us. Basket Case doesn't indeed fuck, but does he not? And in Basket Case 3, we do find the answer to this final, most important question. And I'm proud to tell you, dear listener, that yes, the basket case does indeed nut. Alan.
It's very funny you say that because one of the very first things I was going to say is, we had a lot of questions asked in the past two films. And we did find out just how potent Belial is as
Belial is just
children?
12
children.
12 dozen. A full 12 children of just blasting feet and ropes of hot basket case cum.
Aside from that, in this film, this movie starts with our favorite boy Duane all up in a straitjacket and restrained since he did just murder someone, and they kind of skate over that and don't really worry too much about it.
It's okay.
But it doesn't really matter. The core crux of this is eventually we need to take Belial's girlfriend Eve to some doctor who has been watching over Lil Hal for many, many years because, well, Eve is very pregnant and is about to bust. And
his name is a misnomer.
It's true. It's a very big. He's quite large and in charge. And this movie, I don't even really want to do much of a synopsis of this film, boys. I'll be honest with you. I've already lost interest in my own synopsis, and I'm barely a quarter of the way in. That's how I feel about this film in general. Cops show up, they kill people without remorse or reason. That's probably a somewhat
very
political
unlike
statement.
real life.
Sure.
Very, very unlike real life, guys. Heyo.
Also, the one daughter is sexualized because reasons, and then is brutally shot. It's kind of funny, honestly. And revenge, I guess, kind of happens. Let's open it from there.
Fuck you.
This film was very boring.
Fuck you.
Okay.
Robot basket case. You're just going to blow over robot basket case.
It's
Mecha Basket Case was amazing.
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried, honestly.
I was very checked out.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried that they were going to hold the mecha back for like an unproduced Basket Case 4. So I was very happy when we got it in this movie. Very happy about that. I have two things that I want to say right off the top. Thing number one, did you guys notice how even though it says The Progeny on all the posters, it is never in the actual movie itself?
I didn't know.
Didn't notice.
Number two, I would like to double down on my comment from last week where I said I think I would have enjoyed Basket Case 2 more if Duane was unhinged for the whole movie. Because I'm sorry, guys, but it did actually work. I told you it would, and it did.
Dude, it was so good. It was so good.
He is just amazing. It blows my mind that he's just like not in any other movies, because he does such a great straight laced psychopath. It's hilarious. I love every time he's on screen. I love it.
My one of my favorite lines from it is it's a throwaway line where he's talking with the rat guy, and he's like, I spent all this time this past out, and I realized that Belial just is jealous of me, and like it's like like.
Yeah, his whole it's that has a very in Airplane when the girl is just like talking over and over, and if everyone just starts killing themselves as they're like listening to this person talk, that was the same energy in that scene on the bus where because like it goes on. The rat initially is kind of like, yep, sure, but then like as more goes on, you see it come back, and you can clearly tell he's like, this is some I'm sick of this conversation. Please stop.
You killed my friend a little bit ago. Like
my favorite Duane moment, I think, was when he goes to the jail and he sees the babies in the cell and he shakes the jail cell like violently, and then he just turns around and just goes, "There's so many of them," and then turns around and shakes it again like crazy.
His line where he's still in a straitjacket, and it's when they first get to the doctor's house, and he goes, "Oh, and you must be Mr. Bradley," and he just goes, without any context before this, nothing. "Can I borrow a Swiss Army knife?"
Yeah,
with all sorts of energy, and it's like, what is happening here?
No, I'm not going to try to escape. Like
immediately. I don't remember your name, but I'm over here.
This movie. Okay, so I was again. This series reminds me of Ghoulies, right? But Basket Case 3 did Ghoulies Goes to College, but the comedy works the majority of the time.
Like I laughed the most in this one. This one was the funniest to me out of all three.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was very funny. I really I was like, oh man, this is like again, right? Is there a lot to say about Basket Case 3? I don't know. We're saying a lot right now, and we'll probably continue to do so. But I'm glad I picked this series because I've loved this series so much. It hits that B movie schlock that only a Bobby can love, and it's just like this is just like.
Corbin, so you said you really loved how unhinged Duane was throughout this whole film.
Yeah.
So near the tail end of my notes, I have, so this movie must have been how Corbin felt, like in relation to the previous film, because I was just sitting here for them. Like I had my haha funny bits, but like the vast majority of this film, I'm just like, can this be over? Like, wow. I just was so bored. Yeah, bored by this movie.
I think that this one was probably my favorite one, honestly. The gags, were hitting me the most often. It had the least amount of unnecessary flashbacks and footage reuse.
Only one, I think.
Only one? Yeah,
two.
Right. Yeah.
Nope, two.
Oh, yeah, because they flash back to the hospital. Yeah, when they first get cut apart. Yeah. There's just, this one leaned even that much more into the comedy. There's literally no horror in this at all, I would say.
Yeah.
And it was all the better for it. There's so many little gags that are just amazing. Like the musical number on the bus, ridiculous.
Oh my
very funny.
Oh, good.
The part when they make a comment about the two deputies that stole the babies, they were both off of work, and then it cuts to both of them waking up completely drunk with empty bottles everywhere. It's these are just very funny scenes that they keep doing. I don't know. This movie was just unhinged. I wrote it. Yeah. I wrote it in the notes. Duane is unhinged. The movie is as well. It's just ridiculous.
All of the gore goes so far, it's well done, but it goes so far beyond scary and into just hilarity. In fact, there's only one normal human kill that is actually kind of fuck it. That's when the girl gets shot. But the main gore that is actually unsettling happens with Eve and one of the basket case babies. When the basket case baby died, I actually felt upset. I was
wow, they really squished that basket case baby like that.
Yeah, and I was
mouth.
Yeah. I was like, they killed the baby? No, like it's a baby. Like I felt so bad in a movie called Basket Case 3. Like
I know he's a basket case, but he's still a baby.
Yeah.
Did you guys
we know
actually...
basket case can be good. We've seen Eve. Eve's the good basket case.
Yeah.
You guys, so in the beginning of this film, they travel a fair ways to get to this doctor who's good for, freaks and all that.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that Belial's basket was just on the back of the U-Haul the whole time while they're driving?
Yeah.
Just the whole time. He couldn't be near his in labor wife, girlfriend.
Well, they were,
I don't know.
They were probably worried that he might accidentally kill everybody on the bus.
But he already likes them.
Well, the implication
we don't know that actually.
The implication is that he wanted to be as far away from Duane as possible.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's probably accurate. Yeah.
Because Duane kind of got unhinged there for a second.
A little bit.
Also, I know we touched on it a little bit, but the BDSM daughter flip. Very funny bit. Very funny bit. I don't care. It was very funny. She's like, I know what bad, she's like, okay, so she's the love interest, and because this movie keeps telling you over and over again is Duane is not the good guy. In fact, ever since Belial has found his home and his family, Belial's kind of the good guy. He just wants to be but they keep trying to trick you, and it's so fun. Oh, it's very stupid. This movie is very stupid, and I love it.
It's absolutely insane. I mean, even the core concept of the movie, right, is that the basket case has baby basket cases, right? And that alone is ridiculous, right? Because I mean, first of all, why are the babies basket cases?
They are human beings.
They're just regular babies, right? That but why do they come out as the little monsters that would have been attached to somebody, but they're clearly not?
Shouldn't they have been half people and half,
right?
Or one person with 11 babies,
or 6 sets of Siamese twins in there? I don't know, but
it's wonderful. I love it.
They just own it. You don't really think too much about the fact that the baby basket cases are already little basket cases. You're just yeah, whatever. It's basket case 3. Get over
it. One of my favorite things about this movie actually is Lil Hal, right?
Grandpa was fun.
Yeah, he's great.
Grandma Ruth's son, Lil Hal, is the whole point is he's a genius. He's this big, strong genius, but he just happens to have 8,000 arms, and he's he's a
slug boy.
He's a centipede boy, right? Yeah. And then every time he's on camera, he just acts like the dumbest jackass in the entire movie.
He's a goober. He's a
just
goober.
Screaming oh my god, 7 babies! Don't touch that cat!
She's had 5 and she's still alive. I need to smoke. Great line. Yeah. You deserve an ovarian ovation again.
Yeah.
Mom. He's just
the mom scream is quite good.
Dumbest idiot, but they're no, he's actually a genius. By the way,
and also isn't he their cousin? Because isn't that great? Isn't that aunt? Isn't that their aunt, the great aunt or somebody?
Who?
That was their estranged aunt, right? That's why Duane went to visit her.
No, it was their estranged aunt's friend. Their estranged aunt was the one that kept them together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, get your basket case lore together,
sorry,
right?
I'm sorry. My family tree is all sorts of messed up here.
I know, man. Listen. I don't make me tell you again that yes, the basket case does not, and it's gonna be,
I'm sure that I will hear it again. I'm sure I'll hear all about that again. Yeah.
We have another 100 episodes to talk about basket case. So.
Did Little Hal feel like a Resident Evil villain to you guys? Because he had that kind of vibe to him, where I could so easily see him being in a Resident Evil game.
He looked like
for
one.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if he played like one, but I
don't know, man. Pretty campy.
Yeah,
I could easily. He wouldn't be the main villain, but he would be the side guy with the main villain. I could see it.
I don't know,
imagine him next to Salazar. I could see that working.
Well, see, that makes sense though, because then like the plagas could like come out from like the torso like down, and then it's just
This is what I'm saying.
I don't want to think about that.
It's too late. I've already put it in your head.
Well, yeah, now it's here.
Yeah.
What does this mean for Panam Stan? That's right. We're bringing
What
it
does
all.
it mean for Panam Stan?
Wow. See our Resident Evil Edge to Darkness for that episode for that joke.
Shit.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a throwback there, Bob.
We're bringing up all the greatest hits. We got 100 episodes coming up soon, baby.
That's true. That's true.
Again, we touched on it in the beginning, but Belial in the mech suit, just simply the only way to logically end this movie.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
How else could you escalate from here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like what else are you supposed to do, right? Like,
yeah. And I love that they give Belial like his big moment in the precinct, you know, where like you know he's largely absent from the movie, which was I made notes about that a couple times. It's like, man, like we're really not seeing him in this film. Like I don't think he's on screen a single time for the first half hour, except for the flashback in the very beginning.
I think in part because they definitely had like an animatronic Belial in this movie, and they probably could not afford to use him often.
By the way, I think did not even look better. Yeah, it was worse than the. I liked it better, just like the mask.
I like new puppet.
Sitting. It just looked better. But when Belial like really kind of came into his own and right in the precinct killed all those cops, like that was kind of great. It was like, man, this is the gore that I was looking for from the previous movie. It's very silly. You're getting this like
ripping a dude's head off. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. You know, Belial's finally here and he's doing what you've been waiting for him
the
to
guy's
do
neck
all
till
movie.
His eyeballs literally pop out. Amazing.
Yeah, seriously.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was just great. Great pacing for Belial in this one.
Yeah. It's weirdly like because like this one was the most clear-cut revenge movie. So like it is like the first half of the movie, it's like, okay, so what's the plot going to be, right? Like, because it seems like everybody here's on board, and then it becomes like, oh, and then at the very end too, oh my god, when Granny Ruth goes into like the daytime talk show, and it's just like, by the way, leave us all alone. Like it's like, oh, yeah,
it's perfect ending.
Dude, again, this movie has a lot of highs.
It does have a lot of highs. It maybe has some lows. Alan, why don't you tell us a little bit about some things you weren't so keen on?
So,
nothing good, I thought. So,
yeah. All right, cool. All right. So anyway,
the thing here, I don't know that I'm going to be able to like point to you and say this right here is something that I found, you know, boring or whatever. It's just the whole time I'm watching this film, like they've fully gone into the Duane's unhinged route, and I think that might actually be what kind of holds it back for me a little bit. Is while I enjoy him being outrageous, it was just like that's all he did. That was it. There was nothing else going on. It's like if Duane isn't on the screen being ridiculous, nothing's really happening, and I'm not exactly very like excited to watch what's going on. And then when he is on there, he hams it up, and it's fun, but it's like, I don't know. This film just I constantly was in a state of going, okay, the movie continues, I guess, and it didn't really draw me in like either of the other two did.
Interesting.
I just kind of kept going. I just kept looking at my watch going, how much more of this do I got to go through?
Yeah.
And I didn't even, I don't know. I didn't even really have like a particularly great moment of being like, oh yeah, this is everything I want. It just never really got there for me.
But you liked both of the other two.
Yeah.
I don't get
this
how
one.
I don't like this. I don't get how you can go in. Sorry, I don't get how you can go watching Basket Case 1 and 2 and not expect and enjoy everything you get out of Basket Case 3. It doesn't do anything you don't want it to do. Like, and the plot is there. It serves its purpose.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of one? It's
Enough of one.
Yeah. You see it. You see the Basket Case do kill things, right? You see all of the freaks have really cool and interesting costume design, right? You get some interesting special effects. You get some gross out humor. You get some real humor. You get the actor who played Duane Bradley being completely unhinged the entire time. You get some twists, you get some turns, you get some goofs, you get some gaffes. I don't know, man. This seems like
it's like maybe, exactly what I wanted out of this trilogy, honestly. Yeah.
Is it a bit by the numbers? Sure, but like I don't care.
It's Basket Case numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the numbers of math.
Yeah, they're the numbers
that calculus. We've got geometry, and we have Basket Case.
Yeah, they're the numbers that they were sketched out in the previous two films. Like they're just fulfilling their trilogy obligations.
I think Corbin does this thing, and I don't always agree with him with this, where he'll do this like, it was good enough for me to enjoy it, and so he'll defend stuff that I sometimes don't want him to defend. And I'm really feeling that right now. It's like, yeah, is this movie like?
I'm certainly not trying to imply this is a fantastic film.
No, yeah, but no. Neither am I. Is this movie perfect? No. Is this movie good? I don't know. Did I like the fuck out of this movie? Hell yeah, I did. Like that's like, and it's like, I get like I'm having that end of Mac Finds His Pride, where I'm Danny DeVito and I'm all beating the fuck up. Like, I get it now. Like, why you're defending movies, and I'm like, how can you like this? How can you like this filth, this dribble, this trash? It's like, oh yeah, this is bad. This movie's bad too, and I'm just like,
I found it, my trash.
The basket case is dreaming, and
okay, that is very funny.
And the naked ladies are talking about are reading off like receipts from Target.
Yeah, but the way they're reading it is like very elegant too. It's so
they're reading off. Very funny. It's very funny. Yeah.
I love the additional gag, the audacity of introducing and then the moral twins or whatever, right? And like, just because this is the first movie that they had been in, like they're not actresses. They're not even that kind of actress. Like they're just in this movie basically. Like, and it's just like extra funny. Like they probably knew that they were going to be in a bunch of other movies, and introducing is supposed to be like a very specific type of credit. And it's just funny, like things like that are just funny. And this movie is really, really aware. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really aware. It really knows what it's doing. Yeah, and I enjoy.
What's your face? I really enjoy. One more thing is like, there's a lot of people there are several actors and actresses that come back. What's her face? The prostitute from the first movie.
Yeah.
She shows up again in this. Yeah, she shows up again in this as like, it's like, oh, cool, that's kind of cool. Like, obviously, people like the director and like are willing to like work with this person again. Like, that's kind of really cool. And like, he's willing to have that in the stuff. Like, I don't know, that like seeing that and seeing like again Duane Bradley doing all three of these movies, right? Like, it's like, oh, this is kind of sick.
It is just very strange to me, like thinking about the cast and crew that made 3 of these movies over the course of 10 years and weren't really in other anything else. Like they just made Basket Case. Even the director only did like 3 other movies, and it just puts Basket Case in such an interesting position, I think, because you kind of see everybody's skills improving just over the course of this trilogy, and it's like, yeah, just because they kept doing Basket Case, like they just kept getting better at it.
I will say this to Frank Henenlotter's the director of this movie, his credit is like, after seeing all 3 Basket Case movies, I'm like, maybe he can tastefully make a movie called Frankenhooker, right? Like
yeah, that's fair.
That is fair. It's like none of these movies are particularly like overtly like lewd and like sexist and wrong, right? And like in fact, when it talks about like the sex work community, like profession, he's actually really like progressive. Like he makes the sex workers likable and like interesting characters and things like that, and he makes like the dregs and the freaks of society the characters you want to like. So like, and he makes them very uncomfortable to look at, but very interesting people. And it's just like maybe there is a tasteful way of doing a movie called Frankenhooker. Like,
do you guys find it weird that in this one, a bunch of the freaks just had regular ass voices for like the first time in the 3 films?
They had regular ass voices in
a lot
the
of them
second one.
had regular voices in the other one. Yeah,
I don't remember them talking like at all in the second one. I remember them making like random muffled noises, but not like voices.
The ones that talked in the second one talked in this one, and the ones that muffled in this one muffled in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, Elmo talked like a lot in the second one.
Yeah.
With all the noses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Speaking of a whole lot of noses, you already rate this bad boy?
You had an opportunity to say ready to sniff this bad boy, and you wasted it, Bobby.
I don't.
I wouldn't call that a waste.
Is that 2 weeks in a row, Alan, with a bad transition proposition?
Yes. Yes, it is.
No, that's tough.
No.
That's tough. It's tough to be Alan.
It's a tough look. It's a tough look.
Yeah. You know what? It is time, and we rate movies here on a scale of 0 to 5 with half points allowed.
and that's
so
and that's how you make a diamond out of a coal.
And 3 are all proper scores, but something like 2.25 is not. So let's go, we're gonna go lowest to highest.
Yep.
In celebration of our 99th episode, an age-old ratings game. So we get to start here. Alan, what do you give Basket Case 3, The Progeny?
So I
so stupid they call it The Progeny. I'm sorry. That's another joke. No. It's so good.
Like, no, it's great. Yeah.
For me, this is my least favorite of the bunch.
Oh my goodness.
By a noticeable amount. I definitely enjoyed the first film more. However, I'm going to take an objective stance here because it is objectively a better film, I think, than the first one. So I'm going to put Basket Case 3 at a 2.5. So just under the second Basket Case and just above the first Basket Case. Because here's the thing, like, did I laugh at this film? Yes, plenty of times. Plenty of times I was laughing at this film. But when I wasn't laughing, I was incredibly bored. And there were many stretches where I'm just sitting here like, I'm desperate for a laugh. And they would eventually give me one, and that was great. And then I would be desperate for a laugh. And it was this constant cycle of like, the highs were the highs were not high enough to successfully like break the lows for me. So it's right in the middle of the road. 2.5.
Do you feel like maybe you scored yourself into a corner there because your review is like way worse than a 2.5?
Maybe. A little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do genuinely think, like, I do think this movie is a better film than the first film. Like, sure. Outright. Like, yeah. I don't think there's much debate there.
For the next one, I'm going to go ahead and flip a coin here because I have a feeling Bobby and I are actually going to score the same. And so I'm just going to go. I'm going to go. So Alan mentioned being bored watching this movie. And I mentioned both of the other 2 weeks being bored watching those movies. And I'm happy to say that this was the first one that I actually really quite liked watching. I think it is a pretty decent movie for what it is. It was funny. It was heartfelt in its freakish way. It was gory in the right way. It was everything that it wanted to be, which I think is important. This movie doesn't feel like it has really any missteps, and I think the other movies have a little bit of that, where like they're still kind of finding the vibe of Basket Case, and this one feels like it really understood what Basket Case was. I liked it better than the last one, just a little bit, and I think it's a little bit better. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5.
Good prediction, Corbin, because here's the thing, right? Much like Granny Ruth, I love these basket cases. I love them like my own children. And would I dare, under any circumstance, say I love any child more than another? What kind of grandma would that make me? Now, dear listener, if you've been listening, as I know you have been, to the spoiler cast all 3 weeks in a row, you would know that I gave Basket Case 1 a 3 out of 5. I gave Basket Case 2 a 3 out of 5. And, of course, to round this out, my baby boy, my sweet baby, will also get a 3 out of 5. I really, really love these movies, and I love each, because all of these movies are really fucking different, right? Because, like, Basket Case 2 does, like, I love these movies, and they are a very close parallel to my favorite horror franchise of all time, The Evil Dead. Like, they go...
I see that for sure. Yeah.
An earnest attempt to be scary. It's like, okay, let's play with horror comedy. And then, fuck it, this is a funny movie now. It's like... So, I love this movie. I love these 3 movies. They're very good. They're not as good as The Evil Dead. Let me just be very clear on that. But, like, it's Basket Case, baby. Come on. Like, it's a great side. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that simple, right? It's Basket Case.
It is. It's Basket Case, baby.
Oh boy. Well, you know something? Rating movies out of 5 isn't the only thing we do here. We also discuss whether or not a movie is essential to horror as a whole. If you skipped ahead to this portion, this is spoiler free. So if you haven't watched Basket Case 3 yet, you're welcome to listen to our discussion here, and don't worry about it. We won't ruin anything for you. Now, if you did skip ahead, our scores so far were a 2.5 from Alan, a 3 from me, and a 3 from Bobby. Now, astute listeners may remember that Basket Case as a franchise has received 100% no essential scores, except for Bobby on Basket Case 1, who did say it was essential. Now, just going in reverse order of scoring, Bobby, does Basket Case 3 bookend the trilogy with a yes?
Nah, I don't think so. I'm thinking of ways in which we could, but I really don't like it. It's fun. I love it. But like, I can't make any of the jokes I want to make without spoiling a key component of this movie, so I won't. I think this movie is really cool and interesting and very funny, very, very funny. But I don't think it's essential. I can't think of a reason why it would be. So yeah, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this was my favorite of the 3, in all honesty. But similar to Bobby, like, I just can't think of a reason why it actually would be essential. I'm happy to say it's my favorite. A Basket Case comes up like just often enough in horror conversation that I can now confidently go, oh yeah, Basket Case, I love the 3rd one. But like, I think that's just kind of as far as it goes, you know, like,
I feel like the more normal response you're going to get to that is, there's a 3rd one?
I think anybody who's bringing up Basket Case probably knows there's 3. I think if there is any reason to say yes, it might be something about like the director and them like not making more movies after this for a long time. Like the director didn't make another movie until like 2004. But the thing is that I'm pretty sure that isn't because of Basket Case 3. Like, it's just kind of incidental. So for me, yeah, it's a no. But I did really like it. So if you liked the other two, you'll probably like this one.
What I find interesting about Basket Case 3, no, it's not essential. Here's my diatribe, though. Every time we've had a medium shift for movies, there's always a loss of a fairly large chunk of stuff that just never makes the cut from, say, VHS to DVD, DVD to Blu-ray, and now we're in a digital future where effectively rights. If you don't have the rights to something, those streaming rights will disappear and we will lose plenty of films along the way. But somehow this made the cut every time so far. Like, think through that for a second. A film like this made the cut. It's just if there was ever a reason to say maybe there's something here, I think that's part of it. But ultimately, I don't think that's nearly enough of a reason to call it an essential horror film that just by happenstance it made it through media transition over the course of 30 years now.
I mean, to be fair, the first one is in the Museum of Modern Art, so
sure, but it's 2 and 3 are not.
Well, yeah, like, it carries along,
Does it? But yeah, no, it is not essential. Interesting that it made the cut, but not essential.
Now, gentlemen, I know what you're thinking right now. What are my handles? What have I been up to? But unfortunately, we do have one more question to ask.
Oh.
Is the Basket Case trilogy essential to horror? Going in reverse order again, Alan, is the Basket Case trilogy essential to horror?
I don't know. I'm going to go with my gut and say no on this one. I still think no. It made the transition. It's got its funny bits. It definitely has a distinct feel to the films. Like, it is very, like, its own thing. And that's very cool and all. But there's plenty of originality in horror that doesn't end up becoming something that we say this needs to be in the lexicon. And that's kind of where this falls for me. I don't think it has enough there. I don't think there's enough there to push it through. So, no.
So, for me, this is kind of a weird one because on the one hand, I don't think that it is good enough, probably overall, to be an automatic yes. And I don't think that it's influential enough to be an automatic yes. But it is kind of part of the general lexicon. Like, I think, people do know what Basket Case is, even just generally speaking. Like, probably enough random people can be asked, like, hey, have you ever heard of Basket Case, the horror movie? And like, they'll probably like, oh yeah, that does ring a bell. And even if they can't tell you what Basket Case is, right? Like, even before we watched all of this, like, I had heard of Basket Case. I'm sure I'd seen it mentioned in documentaries, in other people's, like, just lists of random, 80s movies and such. But I couldn't have told you that it's about a Siamese twin that lives in a basket and he kills people. Like, I couldn't have told you that, right? But I did know that Basket Case existed, and like when you brought it up, I recognized it. And I don't know if that's enough, but I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna say yes, actually. Something about it just pulls me to the yes. And I can't quite tell you exactly why, but it just feels like a yes.
I guess I'm last, and I will say that I was unconvinced until not Corbin's essential conversation, but a conversation that happened in, I guess in the previous essential conversation. Corbin said, Basket Case comes up in conversations about horror enough. And I went, yes, it does. Like, and I'm like, enough to be essential, I guess. So yes, the answer is yes. Basket Case as a series is essential. And is this part of it biased? Because I did in the spoiler cast compare Basket Case to my own children, which I have none of. Yes, I did, and yes, it is. But also, I really do think Basket Case has a weird set of legs, right? Like where it's like, man, like there's something like there's a weird staying power to Basket Case, and that's wild to me. So yeah, it's an essential series for me, for sure.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is, but it stuck around. Even Alan said, I don't know why, but this movie is still around. And it's like, yeah, I don't know why.
It's shock. I really don't understand it. Yeah. Like, think about that. How did it make the cut this many times? How?
And yet, here it is, and here we are.
Yeah. It's like a Blue Lotus, right? Like it only shows up with the light of the moon, but you know, it's the most beautiful thing in the world when you see it.
Oh boy.
Well, speaking of references I don't understand, what are your handles and where can we find you?
Uncultured swine. You can find me at twitch.tv/theredweenie, where me and fellow other cultured people will be watching me stream either Destiny or probably Diablo. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I really enjoy Diablo. I really enjoy Diablo, and I don't want to. And I'm really getting through the campaign with a necromancer right now. But I kind of want to get through that before I actually stream it, so that I can actually like go through the stream time. Yeah, exactly, and not be like super sucked in and trying to like build craft and stuff like that. I got a pretty interesting build going on. Other than that, I got back from the Ashweights of Indiana. Tried some whiskeys, won a Warhammer tournament, was a good time. I narrowly beat Corbin. It was a real nail biter, and I did not like how it made my body feel. Up until the intense relief of actually seeing in the Discord that hey, I won. So great time. Big props to Alan for hosting. It was a great time. Twitch.tv, all of my /TheRedWeenie, all my relevant socials are
there. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Corbangarang, and you can find me Twitter, Instagram, and Mastodon at Bolters and Bourbon. The former is where I tweet about stuff like video games and Transformers, and the latter is where I am all about wargaming, and that's really my more active social profile right now. If you check out my Instagram, you'll probably see some pictures of the World Eaters Gladiator Cadre 331 that I've been painting over the last month. They are the reason why I haven't been playing as much Diablo as I would like. They are the reason why I've been staying up all too late, and also the reason why I haven't been posting as much on socials, because I wanted to share them with everybody, but it was part of a massive conspiracy between Alan and myself to surprise the rest of our Warhammer group on Saturday at the tournament with new fully painted armies that we had never mentioned before. And that was awesome, but that's why my socials have been a little dark. So going forward, you know, now that it's out, I can just post about the stuff I'm working on.
That's gonna be nice.
Yeah. Besides that, just trying to play some Diablo. I'm still in Act 1 because I really only started playing in earnest today. But that's just about it. At Corbangarang, at Bolters and Bourbon.
You can find me just about anywhere at a Seal Punter, where I haven't posted anything in ages because I got rid of Twitter off my phone and I just haven't touched it. I've been thinking about bringing it back. I've considered re-downloading Twitter just because, like, there are definitely certain aspects of things I do miss from specifically that site. But I don't know. It's probably better for me to just not have it.
Maybe it's time, Twitter and it's time for a hobby Instagram out of you. That's where all the good content is, honestly.
That might be the way to go.
It does get it. I've very heavily considered it because I am so sick of the amount of shitty politics I see because
that's precisely why I got rid of it.
The problem is like my Twitter naturally, my actual personal Twitter is so political But now it's just like, well, what if we push the worst people in the world at you? Like,
yeah,
what happens now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I even
cool.
I have a whole separate account just for Warhammer Twitter, and it's still like the accounts that are pushed are still just like alt-right political accounts. Just like guys, like I'm just trying to roll some dice. Yeah.
I
just want to roll dice and paint pretty things. What do you
was
want
that
from me?
Was it Arch Warhammer, the guy who turned out to be a Nazi? Yeah, you get a lot of him.
Yeah, not anymore because I blocked.
It's no fun.
Okay.
There you go. But like Corbin said, the conspiracy was deep and real. I think it had to have been. This has been going on. Like the idea, I think, was planted in like February, probably. Whenever the Death Guard boarding patrol came out.
Yeah.
Because that's when it started in earnest. Is I was like, what if I do this? And then I brought Corbin in, and he's like, well, I'll do it with World Eaters. And then it just kind of happened.
I talk with these people more than most people talk with these people, and I had no idea.
Yeah, we kept that shit under wraps. It was great. But yeah, fully painted Death Guard army on swampy bases. It took a lot of time, but I know the scheme now, so if I ever expand my Death Guard, I'll be able to do it a lot quicker than it took me this time around.
With how good Death Guard are going to be in 10th edition, you're going to be spreading that out real quick, huh?
Yeah, we'll see on that one. But yeah, with these guys came down, we had our wonderful whiskey night. It was a grand old time. I have more alcohol than I know what the hell to do with. I'm going to have a second party just to get rid of all the alcohol in my house. So that'll be fun, I guess.
It's weird because I know what you could have done with some of it.
I know. You do
weird.
know. That's
it's
actually
weird.
True.
It's weird. It's almost like before the episode, we all tried to peer pressure you into having a drink with us.
This is
and now you're complaining about all your liquor in your house. Weird.
I never would have brought it up again, but you opened the door.
Yeah.
I find ways to step on rakes, man. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is.
There wasn't even a rake there, and then suddenly
I materialized a rake in front of me.
He put the rake down and stepped on it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I was walking.
How could Bobby have done
this? Be a great place for a rake.
Yeah.
A seal punter. Maybe I'll get on Twitter or Instagram. I don't know.
Oh boy,
figure it out.
You can follow the podcast at Essential Scares. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We would love to hear from you and hear your suggestions on future content to cover. In the bio for all of our socials is a link to our Discord and also the other socials, which is the best way to reach us. Of course, Discord, we're on every single day, all day. We're always happy to talk about movies, music, games, whatever you're interested in, whatever you'd like to talk about. This has been episode 99. We've covered so many things, 99 of them. And next week is our 100th episode. We're officially breaking into triple digits, the last major numerical milestone in that way for another like 10 years at our current pace. But we're very, very excited. Next week we are going to be breaking down basically our first 99 episodes and reevaluating where we think we landed, not just on the scores, but more importantly, essentiality. The last 30 episodes, we've been doing a lot of franchise stuff and older movies. But before that, we were doing a lot of new movies, as you may remember. And it's always a little bit of looking into the crystal ball with new movies. So we're going to look back on those and see if we were right or wrong, or if maybe it's just still too early to tell. So check in with us next week for episode 100 Spectacular. And then after that, maybe we'll have a new format. Maybe we'll be back with a new franchise. Who can say? But if you have suggestions, let us know. If you like the show, give us a rating, a thumbs up, a review. 5 stars are the best of stars, but if you feel like we deserve less stars, that's okay too. Thank you to Alan and Bobby for being on the show with me this week and the other 98 weeks. I have been your host, Corbin, and this has been Essential Scare.
Playing 99 simultaneous breakdowns, baby.